The massive Xenoran warship Celestial Might emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline hull gleaming under the distant sunlight. Grand Marshal KYX stood on the command deck, his iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to purple as he studied the third planet on the main view screen. Behind him, a dozen other Xenoran vessels took formation, their weapons powered down but ready. Primitive, KYX muttered, his four eyes narrowing as he processed the sensor data. They still use chemical rockets and radio waves for communication. How disappointing. First Officer Ven stepped forward, her ceremonial armor clicking softly against the polished deck. The Emperor was explicit, "Sir. Every civilization must be given the chance to submit peacefully before we demonstrate our superiority." KYX waved a hand dismissively, causing ripples of light to dance across his scales. Of course. Open a channel to their primary command structure. Let's get this over with. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a human face. General Marcus Chen of the United Earth Defense Force maintained a calm, almost amused expression as he regarded the alien commander. "Unknown vessels, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose," Chen said, his voice steady and confident in a way that made KYX's scales ripple with irritation. "I am Grand Marshal KYX of the Xenoran Empire. Your civilization has been noticed by Emperor Zeftal, ruler of 10,000 stars. We come to offer you the protection and guidance of our empire." KYX paused, letting his massive form fill the screen. The alternative would be unfortunate. General Chen's slight smile never wavered. "Grand Marshal, Earth appreciates your offer. However, we are not interested in becoming a protectorate. We welcome peaceful diplomatic relations between equals, but nothing less." Laughter erupted from the Xenoran bridge crew. First Officer Ven stepped forward, her voice dripping with contempt. "Equals? Your species can barely reach your own moon. What makes you think you could stand against the might of the Xenoran Empire?" "Perhaps a demonstration is in order," Chen replied quietly. "You have 1 hour to withdraw from our solar system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war." The transmission cut off abruptly. KYX's scales flashed bright red with anger. The audacity! Launch scout ships. Let's see how these humans react when we start scanning their primitive defenses. 3 sleek Xenoran scout vessels broke formation, their advanced sensors probing Earth's orbital space. They detected a handful of crude satellites and a single space station, nothing that could pose a threat to even one Xenoran warship. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, detecting multiple small objects launching from Earth's surface. "Primitive chemical propulsion, wait." His voice trailed off in confusion. "What is it?" KYX demanded. "The objects, they are accelerating far beyond what chemical propulsion should allow. Their energy signatures are impossible." Before KYX could respond, their primitive, human vessels executed a series of maneuvers that should have torn them apart. They moved with impossible precision, surrounding each scout ship in perfect formation. "This has to be some sort of trick," First Officer Ven insisted. "Their technology can't possibly." Her words were cut off as brilliant blue energy fields erupted from the human ships, enveloping the Xenoran scouts. When the fields dissipated seconds later, the scout ships hung lifeless in space, every system completely disabled. KYX's scales had turned pale gray, the color of uncertainty. How impossible, they were supposed to be primitive. "Sir," the sensor officer shouted. Multiple energy signatures appearing throughout the system. Hundreds of them, emerging from some kind of stealth field. They are everywhere." On the view screen, General Chen's face appeared again. This time, he wasn't smiling. "Grand Marshal, perhaps we should discuss diplomatic relations again. This time as equals." As KYX stared at the screen, he realized that everything the Xenoran Empire thought they knew about humanity had been wrong. The question was, what else were these deceptively advanced humans capable of? Behind him, the sensor officer's voice shook as he reported, "Sir, we're detecting similar energy signatures in neighboring systems. The humans, they've been watching us all along." The massive hangar doors of Lunar Base Omega slid open silently, revealing humanity's best-kept secret. Captain Olivia Martinez stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the vessel before her. The EDF Thunderchild wasn't beautiful by conventional standards. Its hull was angular and reinforced, bristling with what appeared to be oversized heat sinks and redundant armor plates. But to Martinez, it was perfect. Quite a sight, isn't she? Director James Harrison stepped beside her, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the hangar's force field. The Xenorans are still trying to figure out how we disabled their scout ships. Wait until they see what the Thunderchild can really do. Martinez nodded, remembering the countless simulations and test runs they'd performed in secret. For 20 years, Earth had been preparing for this moment, developing technologies along paths that other civilizations had dismissed as inefficient or primitive. Status report from the diplomatic channel, Lieutenant Raj Patel announced from his communications station. The Xenorans are disturbed. Their Grand Marshal is demanding explanations for our impossible technology level. Let them stew, Harrison muttered. They came expecting to find savages with chemical rockets. Instead, they found a civilization that's been watching them for decades. The main screen lit up with a tactical display showing the Xenoran fleet's formation. Their crystalline ships had rearranged themselves into a defensive pattern, energy weapons charged but not targeting. They were waiting, uncertain. Captain, Harrison turned to Martinez, it's time for Phase 2. Show them exactly what humanity's primitive approach to technology can do. Martinez smiled grimly. Crew to battle stations. Begin power-up sequence. Deep within the Thunderchild, systems that defied conventional physics hum to life. Where the Xenorans used delicate crystal matrices to channel energy, humans had developed synthetic metamaterials that could contain and direct power through brute force. Where alien ships relied on elegant but vulnerable central computers, the Thunderchild had dozens of redundant systems, each capable of taking over if others failed. On the Celestial Might, Grand Marshal KYX watched in growing concern as new energy signatures appeared on his sensors. Impossible, he whispered, his scales shifting to a deep purple of worry. Their power readings, they are using some form of controlled quantum cascade. But that should tear their ships apart. First Officer Ven's voice shook slightly. Sir, we're detecting weapons locks from multiple vectors. The human vessels, they are using targeting systems we can't track. The Thunderchild rose from Lunar's surface, its massive form belying its agility. Captain Martinez settled into her command chair, feeling the subtle vibration of the ship's unconventional drive system. Open a channel to the Xenoran flagship. Grand Marshal KYX's image appeared on the main screen, his scales now a mottled pattern of anxiety and anger. What are you? He demanded. These energy signatures, this technology, it violates every principle of proper engineering. Martinez allowed herself a small smile. That's because you've been looking at the universe through a very narrow lens, Marshal. Humanity didn't follow your civilization's path of development. We chose a different way. She gestured to her tactical officer, who activated a holographic display. It showed the internal architecture of the Thunderchild, layers upon layers of redundant systems, brute force solutions to problems that other species solved with elegance and precision. You see, Marshal, while you were perfecting crystal matrices and energy fields, we were developing materials that could contain starfire through sheer structural integrity. While you were building single, perfect computer cores, we were networking thousands of smaller ones together. You chose elegance. We chose resilience. KYX's scales rippled with disbelief. But the energy requirements alone, the inefficiency. Inefficient. Director Harrison stepped into view. Perhaps. But tell me, Marshal, what happens when your perfect crystal matrices crack? When your elegant energy fields fluctuate? Our ships might be overbuilt, might use more power than necessary, but they don't break. They adapt. They endure. As if to demonstrate, the Thunderchild's outer hull began to shift, plates realigning themselves in a display of technological prowess that had taken decades to perfect. Each plate was a self-contained unit, capable of acting independently or as part of the greater whole. We've been watching your empire expand for years, Martinez continued. We saw how you absorbed other species, how you dismissed technologies that didn't fit your understanding of proper engineering. We learned from that. We prepared. The tactical display updated, showing hundreds of human vessels throughout not just the solar system, but in neighboring sectors as well. Each one represented a different approach to solving problems the Zeneran way had overlooked. This is your final warning, Marshal, Martinez's voice hardened. You can either accept that humanity is your equal and open genuine diplomatic relations, or you can test our resilience firsthand. The choice is yours. In the tense silence that followed, both sides knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The age of elegant crystal ships and perfect energy matrices was over. Humanity had brought something new to the stars, something brutal, redundant, and impossible to break. Deep within the Zeneran Empire's central command fortress on Zendara Prime, Emperor Zeftal's crystalline chamber pulsed with angry red light. The massive view screen before him displayed tactical readouts from 100 systems, each showing the same impossible truth: human ships had been hiding throughout Imperial space for years. How did we miss this? The Emperor's voice resonated through the chamber, causing the crystal walls to vibrate. How did they slip past our sensor networks? High Admiral Nixus, her scales shimmering with tactical calculations, stepped forward. My Emperor, we've analyzed their stealth technology. It's primitive, by our standards. Instead of using energy fields to bend light, they've developed materials that absorb our scanning frequencies. We never detected them because we weren't looking for something so basic. Basic. Strategic Commander Jun Wei's voice cut through the chamber as he entered. The human diplomat had been stationed on Zendara Prime for the past 5 years, supposedly as part of a cultural exchange program. Now his presence took on a whole new meaning. Perhaps you should reconsider your definition of that word, Admiral. Emperor Zeftal's eyes narrowed. You knew. All this time, while we thought we were studying you. You were being studied, Jun confirmed, his calm demeanor a sharp contrast to the tension in the room. Every diplomatic mission, every trade agreement, every cultural exchange, they all served multiple purposes. Before anyone could respond, the tactical display erupted with new alerts. High Admiral Nixus rushed to the console, her scales paling to white. My Emperor. Human vessels are appearing throughout the outer rim. They are targeting our quantum communication relays. In the Sol system, Captain Martinez watched from the Thunderchild's bridge as Operation Scattered Thunder unfolded. Across Imperial space, hundreds of human stealth ships revealed themselves, each targeting the complex network that kept the Zeneran Empire's faster-than-light communications operational. Status report, she commanded. Lieutenant Patel's fingers danced across his console. Phase 1 complete, Captain. 70% of Imperial quantum relays are disabled. They are being forced to fall back on lightspeed communications. Their entire command structure relies on those relays, Director Harrison observed from his tactical station. Without instant communication across their empire, they'll have to react locally, Martinez finished. Each system will have to make decisions without central coordination. Just as planned. On the Celestial Might, Grand Marshal KYX watched in horror as his command network fragmented. Order the fleet to protect the remaining relays, he commanded, but the transmission took precious minutes to reach the nearest battle group. First Officer Ven's scales had turned completely gray. Sir, the humans, they are not destroying the relays. They are rewriting them somehow. Infecting them with something. Deep in human territory, at the Quantum Warfare Command Center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Victor Knox monitored the progress of his life's work. The quantum virus his team had developed was spreading through the Zeneran network, turning their own technology against them. Beautiful, isn't it? He remarked to his colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka. They built their entire empire on the assumption that quantum systems couldn't be hacked. Never considered that someone might find a way to encode viruses into quantum states themselves. Dr. Tanaka nodded, her fingers flying across holographic controls. Their security is perfect against conventional attacks. But we didn't attack conventionally. We changed the rules of the game itself. Back on Zendara Prime, Strategic Commander Jun faced the Emperor directly. You see, while your empire focused on perfecting existing technologies, humanity explored paths you'd abandoned. We developed quantum computing not through crystal matrices, but through artificial atoms. We achieved faster-than-light travel not by bending space with energy fields, but by brute-forcing our way through dimensional barriers. Barbarians, High Admiral Nixis spat, but there was fear in her voice. No, Jun corrected. Innovators. You saw our chemical rockets and assumed we were primitive. You never asked why a species capable of quantum manipulation would still use such basic technology. The answer is simple: we believe in keeping all options open, in exploring every possible path of development. The tactical display updated again, showing new human ships emerging from stealth. These vessels were different, massive, brutal constructions that defied Imperial engineering principles. Those, Jun gestured to their display, are our dreadnoughts. While your ships are marvels of crystalline engineering, ours are powered by artificial stars contained in cages of dark matter. Inelegant? Perhaps. Effective? Absolutely. Emperor Zeftal rose from his throne, his massive form towering over June. You think you can challenge the Empire? We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We don't want to rule, Jun replied calmly. We want to innovate. To explore. To grow. Your empire has stagnated, convinced of its own perfection. We're offering you a choice: adapt and work with us as equals, or watch as your perfect crystal empire shatters against humanity's steel determination. Throughout Imperial space, human ships continued their systematic disruption of Zeneran technology. They didn't destroy, they transformed. Each disabled relay became a new node in a hybrid network, combining human redundancy with Zeneran efficiency. It was a demonstration not just of power, but of potential. The galaxy was changing. The only question was whether the Zeneran Empire would change with it, or break against the tide of human innovation. The crystalline council chamber of the Zeneran High Command fractured along ideological lines. On one side stood High Admiral Nixis and her traditionalists, their scales blazing with fierce orange light. On the other, a growing faction led by Fleet Commander Zara, whose iridescent scales rippled with the blue hues of adaptation and change. The humans have violated every principle of proper engineering. Nixis's voice reverberated through the chamber. Their crude methods are an affront to 10,000 years of imperial development. Zara moved forward, her younger frame marked with the cybernetic enhancements that had once scandalized the traditional nobility. And yet their crude methods have disabled half our fleet without destroying a single ship. Perhaps it's time we questioned our principles. In orbit above Zendara Prime, the Thunderchild maintained its position alongside a dozen other human vessels. Captain Martinez watched the internal feed from the council chamber, transmitted by their allies within the Zeneran hierarchy. Strategic Commander Jun stood calmly in the center of the debate, a silent reminder of humanity's presence. Fascinating, Dr. Knox's voice came through the quantum comm from his position at Earth's Quantum Warfare Command. He monitored the spreading changes in the Zeneran network. Their younger generation is already adapting our hybrid technology. They are improving it. Martinez nodded. They are natural engineers. Once they break free from their traditional constraints. The tactical display erupted with warnings. Lieutenant Patel's hands flew across his console. Multiple hyperspace signatures. The 7th Imperial Fleet just emerged from the Carina sector. Grand Admiral KYX's massive dreadnought led the formation, its crystalline hull now reinforced with darker materials, a crude but effective attempt to copy human defensive technology. 50 Zeneran warships moved into attack position, their weapons charged. So the traditionalists make their move, Martinez muttered. All ships, battle formation Delta. Activate the quantum shells. The human fleet responded instantly, their ships' hulls beginning to glow with a deep blue light. The quantum shells, another impossible technology that combined Zeneran crystal matrices with human brute force engineering, created overlapping fields of protected space. On the celestial might, Grand Marshal KYX watched the human ships with a mixture of hatred and fear. Begin the attack sequence. Show these barbarians the true power of the Empire. But as his fleet opened fire, something unexpected happened. The crystal-powered energy beams that could shear through planetary crusts were caught in the quantum shells, their energy redirected and absorbed. The human ships didn't just defend, they adapted. Impossible. KYX's scales flashed with rage. They are using our own weapon energy to power their shields. In the council chamber, the debate reached its climax. Fleet Commander Zara activated a holographic display, showing the battle in real time. Look. While we cling to our perfect, unchanging designs, the humans take what works and improve upon it. They've done what we claimed was impossible, they've merged crystal technology with their metallic constructs. Dr. Knox's voice crackled through the quantum comm. Captain, we're detecting massive energy buildups in the Imperial fleet. They are trying to overload their crystal matrices, going for one massive burst. Martinez's eyes widened. They'd destroy their own ships just to break through our defenses? Notify Commander Jun immediately. In the council chamber, Jun received the warning and stepped forward. Grand Marshal KYX is about to sacrifice the 7th Fleet in a futile attack. Is this the leadership you want? Leaders who would destroy their own people rather than admit there might be a better way. The chamber erupted in chaos. Fleet Commander Zara's faction moved to seize control of the defense networks while Nixus's traditionalists called for immediate military action against the humans. Above the planet, the Celestial Might's crystal matrices began to glow with blinding intensity. Full power to all weapons. KYX commanded. We'll show them true Imperial might. But before he could give the fire order, his ship systems suddenly locked down. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Dr. Tanakar's hands danced across her console. Quantum override successful. Their own network is turning against them. Throughout the 7th Fleet, ships began powering down as the hybrid network asserted control. The quantum virus that humans had introduced wasn't just disrupting communications, it was offering the ship's AIS a choice. This is Commander Zara to all Imperial vessels, her voice carried across all frequencies. Stand down. The Empire is changing. We can learn from humanity, grow stronger together, or we can destroy ourselves trying to maintain a perfect but stagnant system. One by one, the Imperial ships powered down their weapons. On the Celestial Might, even KYX's most loyal crew members stepped away from their posts. The perfect crystalline hierarchy of the Zeneran Empire was transforming, like carbon under pressure becoming diamond. In the council chamber, Emperor Zethtal finally rose from his observation throne. His scales shifted through a rainbow of colors before settling on the white of clarity. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the Empire to evolve. The battle that never happened became something far more significant, the moment when the galaxy's oldest civilization chose to change rather than shatter. As human and Zeneran ships hung together in space, their technologies beginning to merge and adapt, a new age was dawning. 1 year after the crisis at Zendara Prime, the massive observation deck of the newly constructed Convergence Station hummed with activity. The space station itself was a testament to what could be achieved when human ingenuity merged with Zeneran precision. Its spiral arms were crafted from crystalline alloys that would have been impossible just months ago, while its core contained a controlled quantum singularity housed in human-designed containment systems. Captain Martinez stood beside Fleet Commander Zara, both watching as ships from across the galaxy arrived for the first Galactic Innovation Summit. Human vessels, their hulls now incorporating refined crystal matrices, maneuvered alongside sleeker Zeneran ships sporting multiple redundancy systems and hybrid power cores. Did you ever imagine this? Zara asked, her scales shifting through patterns that indicated both amazement and satisfaction. A year ago, we were on the brink of war. Now look at us. Martinez smiled, remembering the tense confrontation that had nearly torn the galaxy apart. The best victories are the ones where both sides win by changing. Below them, in the station's main engineering bay, Dr. Knox and a team of Zeneran crystal crafters worked on their latest project. The younger Zenerans had embraced human approaches to problem-solving with surprising enthusiasm, while human engineers had learned to appreciate the elegant efficiency of crystal technology. Remarkable, Dr. Tanaka observed from her workstation, where she monitored the quantum network that now connected human and Xenoran space. The network efficiency has increased by 300% since we implemented the hybrid protocols. Their precision combined with our redundancy, it's revolutionary. Strategic Commander Jun entered the observation deck, accompanied by Emperor Zethtal himself. The Emperor's scales now bore patches of cybernetic enhancement, a shocking departure from tradition that had sparked a cultural revolution throughout the Empire. The delegations from the Outer Rim are arriving, Jun announced. They are eager to see what the Human-Xenoran alliance has achieved. Emperor Zethtal's scales rippled with pride. Let them see. Let them all see what becomes possible when perfection learns to adapt, and innovation learns to refine itself. The station's quantum displays activated, showing scenes from across both civilizations' territories. On Earth, crystal spires now rose alongside traditional human architecture, their matrices helping to clean the atmosphere and regulate climate. On Xenoran worlds, new cities incorporated human-inspired redundancy systems, making them more resilient and adaptable than ever before. In orbit around Jupiter, the first joint Human-Xenoran Engineering Academy was nearing completion. Young humans learned the art of crystal manipulation while Xenoran students explored the principles of mechanical redundancy and adaptive systems. Grand Marshal KYX's faction has gone silent, Zara reported, her tone serious. Our last intelligence suggests they've retreated to the Perseus Arm with a small fleet of traditionalist supporters. Martinez nodded. They'll either adapt or become irrelevant. The galaxy is changing too fast to cling to the old ways. The station's sensors detected a new arrival, the Thunder Child, now commanded by Captain Patel, returned from its mission to the galaxy's edge. Its hybrid design had proven so successful that it had become the template for a new class of exploration vessels. The frontier survey is complete, Patel's voice came through the quantum comm. We've detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. There are other civilizations out there, watching us just as we once watched the Empire. Emperor Zethtal moved to the observation window, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming. Then let them watch. Let them see what becomes possible when civilizations choose to grow together rather than fight. Director Harrison, now head of the Joint Innovation Command, joined the group. The quantum virus we created, it didn't just change the Empire's network. It changed both our civilizations. It showed us all a better path. Not a virus, Dr. Knox corrected as he entered, covered in crystal dust from his latest experiment. An evolution catalyst. It showed the AIS and crystal matrices a new way to process reality, and they chose to follow it. Just as we all did. The station's grand chamber began filling with delegates from across known space. Humans and Xenorans moved among each other with easy familiarity, their technologies and cultures already beginning to merge in ways that would have seemed impossible a year ago. The real challenge is still ahead, Jun reminded them. We've proven that different approaches can work together, that tradition and innovation can coexist. Now we have to show the rest of the galaxy what that means. Martinez watched as a group of human and Xenoran children played in the station's zero-gravity garden, their laughter carrying through the quantum-enhanced atmosphere. The children were growing up in a galaxy where the boundaries between organic and crystal technology, between elegance and resilience, between tradition and innovation, were increasingly meaningless. Look there, she said, pointing to the children. That's our real victory. They'll grow up never knowing it was supposed to be impossible. As the Galactic Innovation Summit began, new ships continued to arrive from distant sectors of space. Some were elegant, others practical, most somewhere in between. But they all carried beings eager to learn from the civilization that had proven the impossible was only impossible until someone decided to try it anyway. In the station's quantum core, the hybrid network hummed with activity, its crystal matrices and redundant systems working in perfect harmony. It carried the message to every corner of known space: the age of isolation was over. The future belonged to those willing to learn from each other, to change, to grow. Humanity had sparked the change, but what emerged was greater than either civilization had imagined possible. As the sun set on another Earth day, casting prismatic reflections through the station's crystal spires, the galaxy prepared for a new dawn.